Now, this is important. This is important because it's everywhere, okay? And it's projected that in the next few years, because of the rampant endocrine disruptors and GMO, the infertility right now will skyrocket. Is asking about myoma. Okay, so myoma, it's a benign tumor usually in the uterus. Okay, so ang problem mo dyan is you will have pains, okay, abdominal pains, you will have excessive bleeding. Okay, so if it's too big, then the only course is to have an operation. But then, when you undergo menopause, so they usually shrink, okay? But if they don't shrink, then that's the time that you do an operation. Now, for natural remedies, the best thing to do is to drink the Mung Maria, okay? So, and also you have to study, okay? Because the most common causes of adenomyosis or myoma or fibroids are actually GMO, genetically modified, okay? That's one of the most common. Endocrine disruptors, xenoestrogens, okay? You know how dangerous GMO is?
Oh, yeah.
So they did the study back then. So they were feeding these animals, the rats or
numerous studies
mice.
done. I mean, you're talking about, you know, the sterilization of cattle, the sterilization of pigs.
Yeah, but
rats with massive tumors.
The rats, okay. So they were feeding these rats with GMO food, and after a couple of months, they saw that these rats developed a lot of tumors in the breast. They developed tumors in the kidneys. So that's why you be careful of GMO.
The Azores, Portugal. Hello, Lina Marinina.
Yeah, so be careful of GMO. So if there's one thing that you can do for yourself is you have to go organic. That's very important. Okay, I will not be saying it several times if that's not important. Next is fibroids. This is another question. So they were asking me is, what is a treatment for fibroids? What are fibroids? Okay, fibroids are also known as myoma. Yes, for simple people who cannot understand what fibroids is, it's myoma. And myoma, it's benign, so meaning non-malignant. Okay, tumors, non-cancerous growth in the uterus, usually in the muscular layer. That's why you have intramural, submucosal, and subserosal. Now, the problem with these tumors, these benign tumors, is that you can have infertility. That's one of the thing that can happen. You can have bleeding, profuse bleeding. That's why when you go to a doctor and if it's huge and then you're bleeding a lot, what will your doctor say? Oh, let's remove it. Okay, and those are one of the indications why some doctors would advise you to remove it. If you're bleeding too much, you're losing a lot of blood, so they would advise you to have it removed. Okay, now the fibroids, like what I told you, there's two important concepts on the formation of the fibroids. One of them is the endocrine disruptors and the GMO. Now this is important. This is important because it's everywhere, okay? And it's projected that in the next few years, because of the rampant endocrine disruptors and GMO, the infertility right now will skyrocket, okay? And also a lot of obesity, reproductive problems, okay, and endocrine problems, because they are associated with the endocrine disruptors and your GMO. So what are your endocrine disruptors? These are substances in the environment, food sources, personal care products that you are using that disrupts, okay, disrupts your hormones in the body, your neurotransmitters as well. So examples of this is the plastics. That's why they banned BPA. So if you're familiar with BPA, they banned it. Okay, it's because they are an endocrine disruptor. Okay? Now, another is your GMO, genetically modified organism. What is it? These are organisms. Okay, it can be a bacteria, it can be a plant, it can be an animal that has been genetically altered to serve a certain purpose. GMO. Now, the problem with GMO, we have already that infield. There's a GMO rice, right? If you're familiar with that. Now, the problem with GMO is we do not have the enzymes to process the GMO. So we would usually have problems processing them. So we'd have allergic reactions. We would also have cancer, So in the end, because there are studies that links GMO to cancer. Okay, so remember those two things. And if you're sick right now and you're here because you want to take control of your health, those are the two things that you should remember. Okay? Now, there's another question. We're going to go to question number 3. 4. Okay. So this